Today we're going to take a little tour of Helix Editor, which has become my main editor. And the reason that I like this so much is because it's just scoped down. It's exactly what I need and nothing more. And that's immensely valuable to me because the less that's going on in my editor, the more I get to live in my own head where I'm solving problems. I don't really want all of these AI completion features that are cropping up. I don't want a million extension processes. Having the exact setup that I need buys me so much headspace. I'm able to get the Vim-style personal development environment, but with more intuitive and self-documented key bindings, and I'd say more effective key bindings. Meanwhile, I don't have to maintain all this configuration. My editor does exactly what I want it to do, and nothing more. Instead of specifying the operation and then making the selection, we first make a selection, so we'll hit M, and we see it self-documenting. So here we can select inside object with I, and you see even more match options now. And this is using Tree Sitter. We didn't have to configure a plugin. Everything comes, batteries included. So here, for instance, I could do curly brace to select inside of the closest matching pairs, and then you do the operation. So C for change, or alternatively, I could do D if I don't want to go into insert mode. This strikes me as just a simpler mental model. The selection happens first, and then you specify the operation. And one thing that's pretty nice as you're moving around is you see that we're automatically selecting whatever the cursor is over. If we want to get out of the selection, we can hit the semicolon. However, it's a reasonable default for when you're moving around for it to select the given word that you're hovering. Just makes it a lot easier to begin interacting with that word. Meanwhile, the project exploration is incredibly easy. Let's hit space, and we see a list of options. So maybe let's open the file picker in the current directory with a capital E. And this is our file explorer with which we navigate. If we want to explore from the root, we'll hit space and then a lowercase e, which will bring us to our Git root. And if we want to do a project-wide file name fuzzy search, we can hit space F. And then we could do, for instance, extsconfig, and it's going to match our examples tsconfig next. Let's get out of this. Now let's talk about configuration, because this is really the main pain point with NeoVim. I don't want to have to maintain all of this different configuration for all these different plugins, let alone write Lua code. So there are kind of like two main config scopes that we care about, and this is true of VS Code as well. The first config scope is the global config, so that's inside of the config/Helix directory. If we list this out, we see that there are really two main config files. They're toml files. Let's look at the first one, config.toml. And you see I have barely any config here. These are just a few options that I thought were preferable. So specifying a theme, disabling the atomic save, which can kind of interfere with file watching operations, and then a couple other basic options. I also made sure that the file picker would show hidden files like .git or .alchemy, and that's really all you need to know for this config. Then there's another config, the languages toml. Let's go into it, and here's where I specify the language servers that I want to run for a given type of file. So I've only configured one that's custom, and it's cspell. So cspell is what gives us these nice spell errors down here. And I generally like to have this enabled in projects. No reason to have spelling errors in your code. But these other language servers are already configured, so Marksman and Markdown Oxide, so different Markdown language servers, these are available by default. You do, of course, need to install the language server, but usually that's just an npm-ig. TypeScript language server. And so there's really nothing crazy here. It's just for any given language, we specify what language servers we want it to use. So for instance, the Docker file type should use the Docker lang server. So that's really it by way of configuration. Let's get out of there. Maybe now let's navigate to a specific project and take a look at the project level configuration. So this is going to live inside of Helix. So in the same way we have .vs code, we have .helix within our project, and it has a single file, languages.toml. And let's open this up. The only things that I really have at project level config are formatters usually. Having these global might interfere with a given project style guide. But within this project of mine, I'm saying for any given language, I want to use dprint. And this is really all the config you need. Now, if we, for instance, have some spaces there and hit save, it will auto-format. Let's get out of this, and we're back in this file. Now, similar to Vim, we have this command menu. If we hit colon, we're going to see all these different options that we can move through. We hit tab to move through them, and we hit shift tab to move back. One of the options that I'd imagine a lot of you will want to play with initially is the theme option. We select theme, and then we hit space, and all of a sudden we'll see whatever themes are available. So I can easily tab through this and see that there is so much. Ooh, that's kind of smooth. All of these themes are configured inside of the Helix themes directory. If we list this out, we see that every theme has a corresponding TOML file. If we go to GitHub and do a quick search for Helix themes, there are some really good ones. My theme I call Solved. It's a variant of Tokyo Night, but I've set the background to be pure black. I also modified the color of diagnostics to be orange, which I find to be just a little less abrasive than yellow, and yet more legible than gray. Another thing that we're going to use frequently is signature menus. So if we go over a given function or type, you can just hit space and then K, which is going to pull up, in this case, a kind of crazy signature. So maybe let's ignore this. Maybe we can add some effect usage, and gen seems like a good one. Let's command K, and now we see the documentation attached to the symbol, and we can hit Control D to move down in it, or Control U to move up as soon as we move our cursor. Bye-bye menu. If you're ever not seeing that completions menu for some reason, but you're in insert mode, you should be able to hit Control X, and it will bring up that completions menu again. As you're panning through, you can see the documentation as well. We didn't have to configure nvim compy or any of these third-party plugins that might not play well together. Let's just delete this. Now, some basic usage of the language server. Let's say we want to go to the definition of option. We can hit G, and we see this pop up for all these actions. Now, again, this is one of the amazing parts of Helix, is that it's so self-documenting. So learning about how to use it doesn't require that you open up some kind of a manual. You get to just hit a key and then see all of the subsequent actions that you could take. So in this case, we see that we can go to definition by now hitting D, and we're there. This opens up the definition in a new buffer. Let's say we want to get out of this. We're going to do colon and then DC for buffer close.